We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April, 2021 at 1:44 p.m.
Ex-police officer Derek Chauvin has been found guilty on all 3 charges in the murder of George Floyd. So second-degree unintentional murder, guilty. Third-degree murder, guilty. Second-degree manslaughter, guilty. Now, before I get to my thoughts on all this, let me first show you, and also the sentencing as well, let me first show you just a breakdown of each of these charges. So second-degree unintentional murder is a charge that alleges Chauvin caused Floyd's death without intent while committing or attempting to commit felony third-degree assault. In turn, third-degree assault is defined as the intentional infliction of substantial bodily harm. The third-degree murder charge alleges Chauvin caused Floyd's death by perpetrating an act eminently dangerous to others and evincing a depraved mind without regard for human life. The second-degree manslaughter charge alleges Chauvin caused Floyd's death by culpable negligence, whereby the person creates an unreasonable risk and consciously takes chances of causing death or great bodily harm. Now, the first charge is a max of 40 years, the second charge a max of 25 years, and the third charge a max of 10 years and or $20,000. It took the jury 4 hours to reach their verdict, and that was already a good sign that it was going to be a guilty verdict based on the evidence that had been shown, based on the obvious video of what happened. So once people heard it took 4 hours and they were going to come out with a verdict, a lot of people assumed already that it was going to be a guilty verdict. But of course, also many doubters, because this doesn't happen very often. Very rarely are there even charges laid against officers in cases like this. Here is an actual situation where an officer is charged and actually convicted. So this is incredibly rare, but look at what it took. It took an officer being on a man's neck, a knee to a neck for 9 minutes, that on video, for there to finally be some accountability. This is a case that really sits, separate from many others, because often what cops will do is, well, I felt like my life was at risk. And because they felt that then allows them to get off for whatever murder or whatever injury damage they caused, because they felt like they were scared, which you can't really prove either way, but because they say they felt it, then they get off. In this case, you have a cop on a man's neck for 9 minutes. There's no excuses there. You can't say you felt like your life was in danger. It clearly wasn't. So this is a case where there's accountability here, but understand, this is a unique situation. So if this were, any other situation that we've seen countless times, oftentimes there's not even charges brought towards the officers. So while it's great to see accountability, understand this does not mean that the system works. This simply means that this is a one-off where finally there is some accountability here. And in terms of justice, I mean, it's in the eyes of who is using that word, but justice for George Floyd, I think, would be him being alive. Justice for society, I think, would be the complete transformation of policing. Of course, we do not see either of those. So this is, I wouldn't call this justice. I would just call this accountability. But that said, I don't want to seem like I'm too down here, but this is not a sign of anything other than this individual case. So a fantastic result here, but don't be fooled into thinking that, oh, good, the system works, because that is not what this proves. Now, what else here? Oh yeah, in terms of what the jury heard, so apart from the video, they also heard from a training officer that a knee to the neck is not part of training. So oftentimes police will also hide behind their training. They'll say, well, I was trained to do this. I was trained to murder this person if I felt a little scared. Well, here, a knee to the neck for 9 minutes, not part of training. So there really was no excuses here whatsoever. And I think it was, if any officer was going to be convicted in the murder of a black man, it was going to be Derek Chauvin in this case, because of everything that happened, because of what people saw, because of what was on video. You can't deny what's on video. So a rare guilty verdict here, and you should be happy about that, but also understand this does not mean that the system works. Clearly it doesn't. And in terms of policing, I don't want to get too deep down this hole now, but defund the police, or you can call it reallocation of police funds, but moving resources away from the police because they have so much power. The police unions have incredible power. They often take up these city budgets. Meanwhile, housing or healthcare, other areas are being neglected. So if you move resources away from policing into other areas, reimagine how police operate. Have the police as it exists right now have it as a very focused department that has a slim focus on violent crime, and then deal with other sorts of calls in other various ways. You don't need police showing up with guns to every single situation. So I think that is really, if we go down that path at some point, we'll see real justice there when policing is completely reimagined. But that said, happy to see the verdict in this case.